Also, so as I'm looking through the calendar, if my calendar is correct, and I'm not trying to profile anybody, I don't know that other than Ms. Garcia, who was Brandon Klein's client, is anybody else that we would hold the Spanish interpreter for. But we can let everybody in before the judge jumps on and find out if anybody has changed their mind and wants to go ahead and enter a plea. And we'll let the Spanish interpreter make an announcement to see if anybody needs help in Spanish.
Yes. Thank you.
And Solicitor, we do have 5 people slated for Red Speed, but so far we only have 2 that's joined.
Okay.
Oh,
So let me know when everybody's in.
Oh, shit.
Everybody, I need for you to make sure that your microphones are on mute until you're given instructions to actually speak back to the court. Make sure that your microphones are on mute and your cameras must be on during this session at all times. If you're having problems with your camera, you may have to disengage and then try to come back in. Same thing with your audio. But if your camera is not on and it does not operate, we're going to mark you as a failure to appear. And then you're going to have all kinds of other issues that you just don't want to be involved in. So also, for everybody who's on here now, make sure that your name appears on your device so that we can identify you as the person who's supposed to be on this Zoom. Madam Interpreter, you want to make your announcement?
Yes, Your Honor. ¿Alguien aquí en esta sesión necesita el servicio de la intérprete en español? Si ustedes lo necesitan, suba su mano. The interpreter just said, does anybody need the Spanish interpreter for this session? And if so, please raise your hand. But I don't see anybody raising their hand, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm sorry, Madam Interpreter. The judge isn't on yet. I'm the prosecutor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's all right. So
shall I wait for the judge?
Yeah, let's do this. Because we may have some people trying to get on a little bit late, I'm going to give them till at least 8:30. If they're not on by 8:30, then we'll let you make one more announcement at that time. And if they're not on, then those people are going to have to be reset because we're just not going to allow folks just to log on whenever they want.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you are on this Zoom because at some point you came before the court and you indicated that you wanted a trial in relation to the citation that you received. Let me make this announcement one more time. If you are on here because you have a case, I need for your camera to be on at all times during this session. I also need for your device to be on mute at all times during this session, unless or until I am speaking to you or the judge is speaking to you directly. Please refrain from doing things like driving while we're on Zoom. And if you must move around, make sure that that's for a brief period of time, because while you're moving around, everybody's looking at their screen and they can see all the movement, and it's a bit of a distraction and somebody might miss some information that is pertinent to their case. So first, let me start off by asking, I know that everybody who's on here, last time they were on pleaded not guilty. Is there anybody this morning that wants to change their plea and find out what their options are? If so, there is a raise hand icon on your device. Please touch that icon so that we can acknowledge you, and I will speak to you directly. Everybody else, make sure that you stay on mute. So if there's anybody who's changed their mind and wants to do something other than plead not guilty and have a trial this morning, go ahead and press the raise hand icon on your device. All right, so far I only have one person, that's Mr. Davis. All right, Mr. Davis, you had looks like a window tint violation, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And you want to change that plea to what, sir?
I just plead guilty, pay the ticket, and be done with it.
All right, Madam Clerk, what is the fine amount on that?
$135.
All right, when is the fine due by?
Hold on one second. I'm going to make this announcement also, just so that everybody, because they're all going to get the same instruction. If you're on this Zoom and you have a case this morning, also, I need for you to go ahead and place your email into the chat, because that's the way the court's going to communicate with you after this session is over with. So make sure that you put your name followed by your email in the chat. Mr. Davis, in reference to your matter, that 135, can you pay it within 2 weeks or do you need longer?
No, I can pay it by Friday or tomorrow, yeah. Did you hear me?
So you're going to receive an email. Once you put your email in the chat, you're going to receive an email with instructions on making that payment. As long as you do it within 2 weeks, you're good. But if it goes past 2 weeks, they're going to charge you an extra $200, okay? So you want to make sure that you get it in before 2 weeks.
No worries. I'll make sure I have it paid in full by tomorrow.
All right, and you already put your email in the chat?
Yes, sir. Just updated it.
Okay.
It should be on my.
Madam Clerk, is he good to go?
Yes, he is.
All right, so Mr. Davis, just look out for that email on making that payment, okay?
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so then I see Mr. Smith. Let me pull you up there, Mr. Smith. All right, Mr. Smith, you have a speeding charge. And what do you want to change your plea to, sir? You have to take yourself off mute. Did he freeze up on me?
Looks like
Looks he
it.
did. Mr. Smith, you're on mute. If you could take yourself off mute.
Yes, yeah, you was breaking up. Yeah,
You said
was breaking
you
up.
want to change. Okay, you said you want
Say
to
what?
change your plea. What do you want to change your plea to?
No, I don't want to change my plea to anything.
And why
Cause
is
I
your
work
hand
for the
raised?
city of Atlanta. I work for the city, man. I don't want this thing
Smith,
to reflect
Mr.
on
Smith.
me.
Listen to me. You place you place the hand raise icon on your screen. He froze up again. All right, can we just put
Right.
Mr. Smith
Yeah.
on mute?
Don't put me on mute.
All right, Mr. Smith, just listen to me. Take your hand raise icon off of your screen because you have your hand raised on there. The hand raise is only for the people who are trying to change their plea. And that's why we called you, okay? All right, so barring no other people that are changing their pleas. So let me just make sure, Madam Clerk, that I have, so Kevin Blair is off because that was Brandon Klein's client.
Correct.
Yermonda Davis just pled guilty, so he's off.
Yes.
Alexis Garcia is off. We're gonna do Mr. Hong first. And do we have Officer Gladden standing by? I see you,
Yes.
Sergeant. Glad. There you go. I got you. All right. Now, I know I just saw somebody from Animal Control. Where's that gentleman?
Officer Glover,
Who?
he's on. Glover,
Glover. Okay. Glover, what case are you on?
Cruelty.
Animal cruelty. Is that Thompson?
Sir, animal cruelty.
Okay. All right. I just didn't have your name under that particular defendant, so I want to make sure.
That's fine.
All right. And how many officers do I have available other than Sergeant Gladden and Glover?
you got Detective Bishop there as well.
Where did I see Bishop at? I'm sorry, I'm trying to locate. Oh, there you go. All right, let's see. So Bishop, you have Bates.
Yes, sir.
So you only have one on this calendar.
Yes.
And I see Mr. Bates there. Okay. So in the grand order of things, we'll do Hong first, Bishop second, Sergeant Glover third. Just us. Judge Freeman,
Yes,
I believe we're at the stage where we can proceed. We got a couple attorney cases off of the calendar. One person switched to enter a plea. We have one Vietnamese interpreter case that we're going to put on first. Spanish interpreter made an announcement for anybody who needed assistance in Spanish and nobody acknowledged so. I informed her that by 8:30, if nobody has jumped in and needs her services, then we can probably just let her go. Otherwise, we can go ahead and proceed.
let me just take everyone through their general rights and then you can call your first case.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Forest Park Court. This morning's session is a trial session. You are here because you have been charged with an offense, or you are a witness, or you're here on our red speed court. I want to be sure that everyone understands their rights. This is a virtual session. I know that you've already been given instructions, but please bear in mind you are in virtual court. Make sure there are no distractions in your background. Make sure that you are in the appropriate place to conduct court, and make sure that you have adequate connectivity. If your connectivity is not adequate, you will be disengaged and you will be required to come down to the courthouse for an in-person court session. Likewise, if you do not comply with the dress code or the decorum code or the location code of where you are, your virtual session will be discontinued and you will be invited down to the courthouse. Now, because this is a court session, you should have allotted 3 to 4 hours for this court session. I do not anticipate the trial calendar will take that long, but please make sure that your schedule allows you to do this and for you to be fully participatory during this 3 to 4 hour period. Let me go over your rights. First and foremost, you are presumed innocent. It is the city's burden to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to a trial, and at that trial, you have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, this court will appoint one if you meet certain requirements. During the trial, you can present evidence and you can refute any evidence that's offered by the city. Prior to today, You have the right to subpoena to court, the attendance of witnesses, and the production of documents. Likewise, you have the right to have your case bound over to Clayton County if you were requesting a jury trial. You have waived those rights, and we are going to proceed with your bench trial in Forest Park today. Let me be sure that everyone has typed their name and their email address in the chat. Please type your name and your email address in the chat and send it to FPMC, which is Forest Park Municipal Court. Type your name and your full email address in the chat and send it to FPMC. Because this is virtual court, you will receive your plea form through your email, and you will receive all court communications, including the disposition of your case. If you go on probation for any reason, your probation forms, as well as any communication will be done through your email. So type your full name and your email in the chat. The prosecutor is about to call the cases for trial. When you hear your name called, please unmute. But while the other trials are going on, you certainly have the right to observe, but please make sure that you keep your device muted. Mr. Prosecutor, you want to go ahead and call your first case?
Yes, Your Honor. First case is going to be Mr. Trinh Hong. And that's
Cái đầu
Officer
tiên,
Gladden.
ông Trinh Hoàng.
Dạ tôi ạ.
Is Sam here?
Mr. Hong, you've been charged with violation of a traffic control device. What is your plea to that, sir? Is it not guilty, guilty, or nolo contendere?
Trước tòa đây là ông nhận tội hay là ông chống án?
Dạ tôi chống án ạ.
Yeah, not guilty, Your Honor.
Let him know that the interpreter will be interpreting what he says into English, and the interpreter will also interpret from him what the prosecutor, the police officer, and the witnesses are saying.
Thì cái người thông dịch viên đó sẽ thông dịch cho ông từ cái người công tố và sẽ thông dịch những cái lời nói của cái ông cảnh sát.
Let Mr. Hong know, because the city has the burden of proof, the city is allowed to present its case first.
Thì vì cái luật của tòa đó là cái bên công tố đó là phải có trách nhiệm đó, là chứng minh rõ ràng ông có tội thì ông mới có tội thôi, thành thử là bên công tố sẽ đi trước.
Thank you. Let me stress this to everyone that is in the trial court session. Please make sure that your full name and your email address is typed into the chat. Go ahead, Mr. Prosecutor.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Hong is before the court because on August 3rd of 2021, he received a citation.
Cái trước tòa là tại vì ông bị cảnh sát cho cái ticket.
That citation was for running a red light, and Sergeant Gladden is the one who issued that citation.
Thì cái ticket đó là buộc ông là cái tội là vượt đèn đỏ, và cái người mà viết cái ticket đó là ông cảnh sát tên là ông Class.
Sergeant Gladden, on the date in question, did you have an opportunity to come in contact with Mr. Hong?
Ông Class, tôi hỏi ông nè, cái ngày đó là ông có nói chuyện với lại Mr. Hoàng không? Trong cái lúc mà ông cho cái ticket, ông có giải thích cho ông Hoàng biết không?
Dạ ông cứ nói
No, anh cái này là ông công tố đang hỏi ông chưa tới phiên anh nha.
Dạ vâng ạ.
Anh ngồi anh nghe thôi. I just explain it to him. I mean, it's just the question is to Sergeant Class, not to him.
Okay, Sergeant Gladden, you're on mute, sir.
Yes, sir.
On August 3rd, 2021, did you have an opportunity to come in contact with Mr. Hong?
Yes, sir, I did.
Cái ngày mà 21 tháng 8 là ông contact với lại Mr. Hoàng phải không? Dạ có.
Was that contact within the city limits of Forest Park?
Thì
Yes,
lúc
sir.
ông Trần đó thì là trong cái Forest Park phải không?
And are you a post-certified peace officer with arrest powers?
Yes,
Ông có bằng để mà làm cảnh sát ở trong ấy không? Dạ có.
Can you briefly state the nature of that contact?
Thì ông có thể cho tôi biết cái vụ đó như thế nào?
yes, sir. On the date in question, I was parked on the northeast corner of Jonesboro Conley Road with the sole purpose.
Trong cái ngày đó là tôi đang đậu ở ngay cái chỗ mà cái ngã tư của đường Conley Road
To monitor red light violations and traffic violations at that intersection.
thì trong cái nhiệm vụ của tôi ngày đó là tôi coi khám là coi có là những người chạy xe là có vượt đèn xanh đèn đỏ không trong cái thời gian tôi làm.
I was positioned where I had clear, unobstructed view of the intersection and the red light in question.
Và trong cái lúc mà cái vị trí mà tôi đứng đó là tôi nhìn cái đường cái ngã tư đó rất rõ ràng, không có cái gì mà cản trở con mắt của tôi hết.
It was at that time I noticed the light was had turned to yellow. I was monitoring southbound traffic, and I observed the vehicle driven by Mr. Hong approaching at the same speed without slowing down. The light turned red before he crossed the stop line, and it was at that time I initiated the traffic stop, made contact with him, and issued the citation.
Thì cái lúc đó thì trong cái lúc đó thì tôi đang theo dõi những cái luồng chạy xe, thì tôi thấy cái đèn lúc đó là nó trở thành vàng, rồi tôi thấy xe của cái ông Hoàng chạy đó là khi mà ông chạy tới, ông thấy cái đèn xanh, thấy cái đèn vàng nhưng mà ông không có thắng lại, ông cứ tiếp tục chạy. Thì khi mà ông chạy tới thì cái đèn đó nó trở thành đỏ, thành thử là tôi phải cho ông cái ticket là vượt đèn đỏ.
Now, Sergeant, glad I know that you said that you initiated a traffic stop and issued the citation. Did he say anything?
Sir, I'm sorry, I only caught part of the question.
Did when you pulled him over and gave him the citation, did he say anything to you in reference to the stop that you can recall?
Thì khi mà ông chặn ông Hoàng lại đó thì ông Hoàng có nói gì với ông không?
I believe he mentioned that the light was yellow as he came up on it and continued to go.
Thì ông ta có giải thích cho tôi biết là lúc đó là đèn vàng và ông vẫn tiếp tục chạy qua cái ngã tư đó.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Dạ, tôi không còn câu hỏi gì hết.
Ask Mr. Hong if he has any questions he'd like to ask the sergeant.
Anh Hoàng, đây là trong cái anh muốn có những cái chất vấn gì với ông cảnh sát này không?
Dạ, tôi chỉ không có chất vấn gì, tôi chỉ biết là tôi thấy là vàng thì tôi đi qua thôi.
I don't have any question for the officer, Your Honor, but all I say is at that time I saw the yellow lights on, and then so I keep going through that.
All right, does the city have any other witnesses?
The city has no other witnesses, Judge.
All right, does the city rest?
The city rests.
All right, Mr. Interpreter, let me swear you in as well, sir. Mr. Interpreter, let me have you to raise your right hand. Do you swear to interpret consistent with the native language of Mr. Hong into English and to interpret what's being said from English into his native tongue? If
I do,
so,
Your
say
Honor.
I do.
I do.
And are you a certified interpreter here in the state of Georgia?
Yes, sir.
And what is the native language that you are interpreting?
Vietnamese.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Hong, you can tell us what happened, sir.
Rồi, anh Hoàng, anh kể cho tôi nghe cái chuyện ngày hôm đó như thế nào?
Dạ, thì khi tôi đi qua cái chỗ đó thì tôi thấy cái đèn vàng, thì tôi nghĩ rằng là tôi có quyền đi, thành ra tôi cứ đi. Tôi đi thì tôi thấy có một cái xe gì là xe hai bánh mô tô của cái ông cảnh sát mặc áo đen. thì ông ấy quay đèn thì tôi sẽ ghé vào và tôi đỗ lại để mà nói chuyện với ông, và tôi nói là tôi đi đèn vàng. Ông ấy vì là tiếng Anh của tôi cũng lơ mơ, thành ra tôi không có không hiểu lắm, thành ra tôi bảo là yellow light I go. Thế thôi.
Your Honor, I mean, it's like the same thing. At that time, when I approached the intersection, I saw the yellow, and I think since the light yellow, I have the right to go through. But the officer class, I mean, on the motorcycle, he turned on the light, he stopped, and I stopped for him, and I just tried to tell him, officer, I have the yellow light, so that's why I'm keep going. I try to pass that light.
Let Mr. Hong know that the prosecutor may have questions to ask him.
Rồi ông công tố ông sẽ có câu hỏi cho anh nha.
Dạ vâng.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hong, I think you stated in your testimony that you approached the light, when you approached the intersection, that light was yellow. Is that correct?
Thì anh nói là cái khi mà anh đi tới cái đường đó là anh tới cái đường đó thì nó là màu vàng phải không? Cái đèn nó màu vàng phải không?
Đúng rồi ạ.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you recall seeing the light turn red while you were in the intersection prior to clearing that particular intersection?
Rồi anh có nhớ là cái khi mà anh qua đó là cái đèn nó đỏ lên không? Anh có thấy nó đỏ lên không?
Tôi đi qua rồi thì làm sao tôi biết được là nó đỏ cơ? Thì tôi chỉ biết rằng có cái xe nó chạy theo tôi và nó quay đèn, cái xe hai bánh chạy theo tôi quay đèn thì tôi biết là thế thôi.
I didn't see the red light since because I passed that light still, and then all I know is behind me there's an officer that turned the lights and stopped me. So I didn't see that light turn red.
Okay, no further questions, Judge.
Yeah, tôi không còn câu hỏi gì cả.
Mr. Hong, is there anything else you'd like to say, sir?
Anh Hoàng ơi, anh còn muốn nói gì nữa không vậy?
Dạ không ạ, tôi
No, sir.
Mr. Hong, you have entered a not guilty plea to the traffic control device. I have listened to the testimony of you and the officer, sir. It appears that as you were approaching the intersection or before you crossed the balk line, the officer's testimony is that the light turned red, and as you cleared the intersection, the light was red. Based on that, sir, your testimony is that as you entered the intersection, the light was yellow, and you don't know whether the light turned red as you were clearing it or not. Based on the testimony the court has heard, the court does find you guilty of the violation, sir. The fine amount is $175. Are you able to pay this in the next 2 weeks, or do you need a longer period of time?
Tôi nhận thấy rằng qua những cái lời khai của anh thì anh nói là có đèn vàng, nhưng mà ông officer đó ông đứng ông coi thì ông thấy đó là ông vô, khi ông tới ông pass cái đó nó đèn vàng nhưng nó sẽ turn đỏ, thì nó đã đổi thành đỏ, thành thử là tôi quyết định là anh có tội và cái tòa đó là phạt anh là 175 đồng. Anh có trong vòng 2 tuần để anh có thể đóng cái số tiền đó.
Nếu mà ông ấy phán như vậy thì tôi nghĩ rằng là rõ ràng là không được, là bởi vì nếu mà nó vàng mà bây giờ mình đang ở đi đường đứng ở đó lại là làm sao được, đứng lại tại ngay ngã tư đó, rồi cái xe kia nó làm sao nó chạy được, cái phía mà bên cái hai tay của mình nó có con đường đi thì họ chạy làm sao nổi, thì tất nhiên là phán như vậy là sai, tôi nghĩ rằng là sai rõ ràng.
Your Honor, I don't think, I mean, the decision make any sense, because when I have the yellow, I have to pass through because I couldn't stop. If I stop, I will impede the other traffic flow, so I have to go through that. I don't see your decision is right.
Please explain to Mr. Hong that based on the testimony that the court heard, that if he disagrees with the court's ruling, Like he's been told, he does have the right to appeal this decision to a higher court.
Tôi giải thích cho anh biết là cái đó là cái quyết định của tòa, thì dựa theo cái lời khai của ông cảnh sát và tôi nghe cái lời khai của ông thì tôi đến cái quyết định đó. Tuy nhiên nếu ông không đồng ý thì ông có thể khiếu nại lên tòa trên.
Khiếu nại thì tôi không biết
Let
làm.
me ask again, is he able to pay the fine
Giờ
within
tôi
2
chỉ hỏi
weeks,
anh.
or does it need a longer period of time?
Là anh có thể đóng cái số tiền 175 đồng trong vòng 2 tuần này không?
Dạ, nếu mà tôi có tội thì tôi sẵn sàng đóng, nhưng mà tại vì đây là tôi không có tội thành ra tôi đóng. Tôi thấy tôi trong lương tâm tôi nó không thoải mái một chút nào cả, bởi vì tôi không nghĩ rằng là mình không có tội mà phạt thì kỳ quá. Nếu mà mình đứng lại nhá, nếu mà nó vàng mà tôi đi nó vàng rồi mà bây giờ bảo rằng là tôi làm sao tôi quay lên tôi dòm cái đèn đỏ, mà nếu mà tôi thắng lại ngay cái đó thì tất nhiên là tôi nó đã làm obstruct cái đường xe của người ta đi làm sao nổi. Cho nên là cái quyết định này là tôi nghĩ rằng là ông phải sáng suốt, ông tòa phải sáng suốt để mà phán đoán cho nó phải đạo, nó phải có lý để mới cho cái người dân họ là thoải mái được cho trong lương tâm của họ. Chứ còn phạt 175 đồng tôi nghĩ rằng là tôi có thể đóng được, nhưng mà tôi nghĩ rằng là làm như vậy là mình bực lắm, là vì cái con người của mình đó là mình làm cho đúng với lương tâm mình thì nó được thoải mái hơn. Ông làm ơn ông dịch lại như vậy cho tôi.
Yep. Your Honor, I mean, I can pay $175, but I don't feel like I'm guilty. So when I pay that, I don't feel good at all. My conscience, and I mean, tell me I'm not guilty. See, because the thing, if I stop right in the middle of the yellow, I will obstruct the other flow of traffic. So I have to go through that. So the problem is not my ability to pay that fine. I can do it, but when I pay that, I don't feel right at all.
Well,
So I'm asking you,
Mr. Interpreter, remind Mr. Hung that part of the reason why people have trials is for a judge to determine their guilt or their innocence. And I have determined that he is guilty. Go ahead and tell him that.
Yeah, tôi nói với anh đó là cái mục đích mà đi ra tòa để tranh cãi đó là để cho cái người chánh án như tôi được quyết định, thì cái đó là sự quyết định của tôi. Thành thử là anh chịu hay không chịu thì cái đó là dựa theo cái lời khai của anh và cảnh sát, thì tôi quyết định là anh có tội.
And to the extent that he has decided to avail himself of this process, I am sure that he will respect the decision of the court, or he can appeal that decision to a higher court.
Thành thử là nhưng mà nếu mà anh cảm thấy không đồng ý thì anh có thể là khiếu nại lên trên tòa cao hơn.
Dạ, khiếu nại thì tôi
So ask him, is he going to be able to take care of this in 2 weeks, or does he need a longer period of time?
Bây giờ tòa chỉ cần biết là anh khiếu nại là cái chuyện của anh có thể khiếu nại, nhưng mà giờ tòa chỉ cần biết là trong vòng 2 tuần lễ đó anh có thể trả cái số tiền 175 đồng này không. Cái câu trả lời của anh là tòa muốn biết như vậy thôi.
Dạ, tôi thì nếu mà tôi phải đóng thì là tôi sẵn sàng đóng ngay hôm nay cũng được nữa.
If I have to pay,
ngày mai tôi được nghỉ, tôi sẽ đóng. Ngày mai tôi free, tôi sẽ đến ngay chỗ đó tôi đóng ngay. Nhưng mà tại vì nếu mà tôi đóng thì tôi cảm thấy tôi bực lắm rồi.
I can pay that for tomorrow is my off day. I can
ask Mr. Hong, has he typed his name and email address in the chat?
Bây giờ anh vô cái chat, anh để tên của anh vô và anh đánh cái email address của anh vô trong cái phần chat là anh gửi cho tòa.
Dạ, ngay bây giờ cơ.
Ngay bây giờ.
Mình ghi rồi. Nói là mình ghi rồi.
Ghi gì?
Ghi cái email ấy, tên là gì
á? Ghi email của tôi rồi đó. Tôi có ghi email rồi.
I have I did, Your Honor. On the chat screen I have
check. Check.
Do we have Madam Clerk, do we have his email and full name typed into the chat?
Yes, we have it.
All right, and let him know that we will communicate with him. He will receive his criminal judgment to pay the sum of $175 within the next 2 weeks. He can certainly come down to the courthouse and pay it anytime before then.
Anh có thể là chút xíu nữa là ở tòa người ta sẽ gửi email cho anh cái cách mà quyết định của tôi và cái cách đóng tiền, và anh có thể là đi tới cái courthouse ngày mai bất cứ lúc nào anh đóng cái tiền phạt đó nha, mà trong vòng 2 tuần lễ thôi, cái đó là được. Yes, sir.
Let Mr. Hong know that he can disengage from the Zoom call.
Thành thử bây giờ xong rồi đó, anh có thể đóng cái Zoom call của anh lại đi.
And Mr. Interpreter, if you don't have any other matters, you can disengage as well. And thank you for your service this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have a good day.
All right, you do the same.
Bye.
All right, Mr. Prosecutor, will you go to your next case?
Yes, Your Honor, but before I do, can I have the Spanish interpreter make another announcement for assistance so that we can get her off if nobody else is on
You
here?
certainly can.
Madam Interpreter?
Yes, sir. ¿Alguien aquí necesita el servicio de la intérprete en español? Does anybody here need the service of the Spanish interpreter?
Well, having here not heard anybody make an announcement, Judge, I'd ask that the Spanish interpreter be released.
Madam Interpreter, thank you for your willingness to serve this morning as our Spanish interpreter. It does not look like there is anyone that needs your services, so you can disengage from the call as well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You want to go to your next matter, Mr. Prosecutor?
Yes, Your Honor, this is going to be Joseph Bates, and this is Officer Investigator Bishop.
All right, Mr. Bates?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have entered a not guilty plea to the traffic control device charge, sir. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me before we begin this trial?
No, sir.
All right, it looks like was this a car accident?
Yes, sir.
And it looks like there's a Roderick Dye that was also involved. Is Mr. Dye on the line?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, everyone that is going to testify, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? If so, say I do.
I do.
I do.
Right, thank you. You want to go ahead and proceed, Mr. Prosecutor?
Yes, Your Honor. On April 22nd of 2021, Mr. Bates was issued a citation for running a red light, and that was Investigator Bishop's case. Investigator Bishop, on the date in question, did you have an opportunity to come in contact with Mr. Bates?
Yes, I did.
And was that contact within the city limits of Forest Park?
Yes, it was.
And are you a post-certified peace officer with arrest powers?
Yes, I am.
Can you briefly state the nature of that contact?
Yes. On that date and time, I responded to an accident scene that occurred on Jonesboro Road and Astor Avenue. Upon my arrival, I observed a driver 2 who was to die. His vehicle was in the middle of the intersection, and it was, you could tell it had spun around facing west. Driver 1, who was Mr. Bates, his vehicle was pulled into a parking lot that was west of the accident. Mr. Dye's vehicle had airbags deployed on the front driver and rear driver side, and Mr. Bates' vehicle's airbags were deployed in the front steering wheel and the foot pedal. When I spoke to Mr. Bates, he stated that he was rushing to get back to work, that he wouldn't be late from his lunch, and he said he did not run a red light. It was driver 2 who did. When I spoke to driver 2, he stated he was sitting at the red light on Astor Avenue waiting for it to turn green. And when it did turn green, he has a stick-shift car, and he had to put the car into gear in order to drive forward. Once he drove forward, that's when driver 1 struck him in the rear driver's side.
Okay. No further questions for this witness, Judge?
All right, Mr. Bates, do you have any questions you'd like to ask the officer?
No, I just want to make a comment. When can I make a statement?
You will have a chance to, once the prosecutor is finished calling its witnesses, you then will have an opportunity to tell me what happened, sir.
All right.
You want to go to your next witness, Mr. Prosecutor?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Dye, you've previously been sworn in. Were you involved in an accident on April 22nd of 2021?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
And the driver of that vehicle, the other vehicle involved in that accident with you, Mr. Bates, do you identify him as that person driving that vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. Could you state to the court exactly how the accident happened from your position?
Yep. So I was visiting my mom in Forest Park. So I was on my way back to Atlanta, and I pulled up to that stoplight on Astor Avenue to make a left on Jonesboro. So I was sitting at the red light. It was red for a while, and then when I looked, when it turned green, then I was still pretty new at the time. I had bought a stick shift. I was still fairly new at it, so it took me like a little second to get into first, and then to go off of it once it turned green. Then when I started going up, I naturally looking to my left because I was turning left. Then I saw two cars coming at me. Then I saw one of them looked like it was slowing down, and the other one was going pretty fast still. So when I saw that, I was thinking that I was gonna get hit. So I tried to speed up because I was obviously trying to avoid it. And then I didn't speed up enough, and then so the faster one came, and then it clipped me on the back side of my car, and then the car spun, and then that's when I got out, and then I asked Mr. Bates if it was okay and if he had called the police yet. And then that's basically it.
Now, let me just make sure that I hear your testimony correctly. You made your turn. You had a green light to make your turn. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And from your position, the vehicles that were approaching you should have stopped because their light would have been red. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. And I saw one that was slowing down, and then the other one would look like it was definitely going to hit me. So I was trying to speed up through it at that point. I was already in the middle of the intersection.
And the vehicle that you saw not slowing down or speeding up, was that the vehicle that eventually made impact with your vehicle, the one that Mr. Bates was driving?
Yeah, the one that was not slowing down is the one that made impact.
Okay. No further questions for this witness, Judge.
Sir, I have one question. Where was the damage to your vehicle?
Where was the damage?
Yeah, where on your vehicle was it damaged?
The back left, rear wheel was the main point of impact.
You say the back rear, you mean the driver's side rear or the passenger side rear?
Driver's side.
Okay. All right. All right, Mr. Bates, do you have any questions?
No, sir. I just have statements.
All right. Does the city have any other evidence?
No other evidence, Judge.
All right. The city has rested, Mr. Bates. You can now tell me what happened, sir.
Okay, sir. Like you said, there was two cars, and I was one of the cars, and we actually had the green light. And it's my understanding that he, like I said, with him saying that he was slow driving the stick, that he actually was slow going across.
Okay.
When the light had changed, and there was no other witnesses, just his word against my word. And when the officer came, those two officers came, and they actually consulted with each other, and then they came with the conclusion to give me a ticket. And so that's basically what happened. He said it himself. I mean, it was two cars. We had a green light, and he was slow with a stick, and there was no witnesses besides him and I, because they apparently didn't stop the other car. And the two officers, and the detective said it was two. She consulted with another officer, and that's when I got the ticket.
Let me ask you something. This incident happened back in 2021. Has insurance been involved and resolved the property damage?
Sir,
Has the insurance been involved and resolved the property damage for the cars?
it was a rental car, and the information was turned into the rental car company.
All right. Mr. Dye, has the insurance been involved and resolved the property damage to your car?
Yes.
Okay. And are both of you all physically okay? Mr. Dye, are you physically okay?
Yes.
Mr. Bates, are you physically okay?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. Does the prosecution have any questions?
I don't have any questions, Judge.
All right. Mr. Bates, you've been charged with the offense of violating a traffic control device. The court has heard the evidence on both sides and feels that there's mitigating circumstances. The court does not find you guilty of the violation and will allow the insurance companies to resolve this issue. Mr. Dye and Mr. Bates, you both are free to disengage from this call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to go to your next matter, Mr. Prosecutor?
Yes, Your Honor. That's going to be on Shania Thompson. That's Officer Glover.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Thompson? Shania Thompson.
Apparently she failed to appear.
All right, that's an FTA. All right, you want to go to your next matter, Mr. Prosecutor?
Yes, Judge, because I believe on the rest of these, we can probably just go down the list. So I have
Let me go down my docket real quick, just see, Arkeisha Bird, was there an announcement in that case?
Non-forfeiture.
All right, thank you. How about Tiffany Cassell?
She was a no-show, but she has a cash bond that could
That's a
cover her.
bond forfeiture?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. How about Kyle Colbert?
Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Colbert, what is your plea to the charge, sir?
Not guilty.
All right. Mr. Prosecutor, are we ready for that one? You need to hold that one for a little later.
I'm ready for it if our officer is available.
The officer had a conflict.
Oh, okay.
State
Well,
trooper.
Judge,
The officer is a state trooper,
Yes.
and we were notified, we were timely notified of the conflict.
Yes.
Is this Mr. Colbert's first time being on the trial calendar?
Hold on 1 second, Judge. This is the first trial, yes.
All right, Mr. Colbert, it looks like the officer has filed a timely and legal conflict. This is the first time, sir, you've been on the trial calendar. I do apologize, but the court is inclined to grant a continuance to the prosecution. Do you want me to keep this case in Forest Park, or do you prefer that it be bound over to Clayton County where you can have a jury trial, sir?
Whatever's easier, sir.
Well, the decision is actually yours. Keeping it in Forest Park will be a bench trial in front of me. Binding it over, we'll send it over to Clayton County where you have the option of having a bench or a jury trial in front of another judge.
You keep it in Forest Park.
All right, we will reset this matter in Forest Park. Let us note that the first continuance was granted to the city. All right, sir, have you typed your name and email address in the chat?
Yes, sir.
Can we confirm that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Colbert, you will receive your reset court date through your email, sir. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. You can disengage from the call.
Thank you.
All right. William Frazier is the next person that I have. William Frazier. Is that an FTA?
Yes, he has a cash bond though that would satisfy his
Okay,
bond.
that's a bond forfeiture. Next person I have is Bridget McCraney. Bridget McCraney. Is that an FTA?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. How about Matika Pittman? Ms. Pittman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for
Yes,
some
sir.
reason you were turned on your side. I don't know if your house is on the side or something's going on with your screen.
Yes, I noticed that and I wasn't sure how to fix it.
Okay, well, you're charged with a stop sign violation. What is your plea to that? Guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere?
Well, I wasn't eligible for nolo contendere, but I did go to the
Does that mean
driving.
that you have you pled nolo in the preceding 5 years?
Yes, what's it? I think it just made 5 years this month, Your Honor.
Okay. So then you can enter a guilty or a not guilty plea. Which plea would you like to enter?
I'm not really sure which one to enter. I know
Well,
the last.
do you know the difference between the two? One means that you're saying I did run the stop sign or I did not stop like I should have. And the other one is saying, no, I came to a complete stop.
I'll just say guilty.
Do you understand that by entering into the guilty plea that you're doing this without the assistance of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
And do you also understand that by entering into the plea, Ms. Pittman, the guilty plea, that you are waiving your right to a trial?
Yes, sir.
Are you entering into the plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe it is in your best interest to enter into the plea?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Pittman, the court will accept your guilty plea to the stop sign violation. The fine amount is $200. Are you able to satisfy that in 2 weeks, or do you need a longer period of time?
Your Honor, I have a question.
Can
Because
you
the last
can you first answer my question and then you can ask your question?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you need longer than 2 weeks?
It's possible.
Okay, then what is your question?
Okay, so the last case that I had, it was continued for me to show proof that I completed the driving course.
Okay,
And I have proof of that.
all right, have you provided that to the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do we have proof that she's completed? What that will do is make this a non-reportable offense. Do we have proof that she's completed a safe driving course?
One moment, sir.
We're checking.
And if not, Ms. Pittman, we're gonna ask you to send it to us.
Okay. Because I have it right here. I know you probably can't see it, but I can send it to you.
Yeah, you need to send it to us. You can. Do we have any proof? When did you send it to the court?
Well, I thought it was automatically sent.
No, it's not.
Okay.
You have to send it. We don't have it.
Okay. Okay.
But assuming you get this into the court, let me just say this. You're gonna be placed on probation for 12 months to give you time to pay the fine of $200. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor. If I can pay it less than 2 weeks, then I'll be
In your
removed from it.
probation, if you can pay this in less than 2 weeks, your probation will end automatically.
Okay.
Now, once you get the safe driving course, then this will be reduced to a non-reportable offense. So you need to get that into the court. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So you have up till 2 weeks to get the safe driving course certificate to the court.
Can I email it or I had to bring it in person?
You can email it.
I just
Okay.
put the email address, Ms. Pittman, in your chat.
The email
Okay,
address is
thank
in
you.
your chat, email it, and then your charge can be reduced to a basic rules. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Basic rules keeps this off your record. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and I have you down, you will be on probation for 12 months. It's pay only probation. If you pay your fine within the first 29 days, you do not have to pay any monthly supervision fees. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
In the state of Georgia, Ms. Pittman, probation does not show on your record unless you violate the terms and conditions. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And of course, if you violate your probation, they can bring you back in front of the court on a probation revocation calendar. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, well, have you typed your name and email address in the chat?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can we confirm that?
We have it.
All right, Ms. Pittman, you can disengage and thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Cherry Pollard. Cherry Pollard. Is that FTA?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Hazel Robinson. Hazel Robinson. Is that FTA?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Labrisha Rouse. Labrisha Rouse. Is that FTA?
She's in the waiting room.
She just tried to log in. So do you want us to let her in or?
Yes.
Okay, we will.
Is this officer available?
No, he no longer works here. We sent the subpoena, but no response.
All right. What is the city's pleasure on this matter?
Your Honor, the city will move to dismiss for want of prosecution.
All right, if we will let Ms. Rouse know that this charge is being dismissed for want of prosecution, please get a not guilty plea form from her and she is released. Walter Scott, Walter Scott. Is that an FTA?
Yes.
Thank you. Devontavia Smith, Devontavia Smith. Mr. Smith, please turn your video on, sir.
Yes, sir. Hold on. Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Smith, what is your plea to the speeding charge, sir?
Yeah, it's not guilty.
All right, is this officer available to go forward with the trial?
No.
All right, Mr. Prosecutor, was this officer subpoenaed?
Yes, he was.
All right, Mr. Prosecutor, is there an announcement in this matter?
The city moved to dismiss for want of prosecution, Judge.
All right, Mr. Smith, your case is being dismissed for want of prosecution because the officer did not respond to the subpoena, sir. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, you're free to go. Have you typed your name and email address in the chat?
Thank y'all. All right.
Mr.
I have
Smith,
it.
Mr. Smith, have you typed your name and email address in the chat?
Yes, sir, I have.
All right, do we have it?
Yes, sir, we
Yes,
do.
sir.
All right, we will send you your plea form, enter a not guilty plea and send it back. Thank you.
All right. Oh, thank
All
you.
right. Next is Darius Thomas. Darius Thomas. Darius Thomas. Is that FTA?
Yes.
And lastly is Brittany West. Brittany West.
I'm here.
All right, Ms. West, what is your plea to the charge?
Not guilty.
All right, are we ready to proceed with this trial?
Do we have the officer available for this one?
We do not.
Was the officer subpoenaed?
Yes.
All right, does the city have a motion?
Move to dismiss for want of prosecution, Judge.
All right, Ms. West, this case will be dismissed for warrant of prosecution. You will receive your plea form through your email. Please sign not guilty and send it back. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, have you typed your name and email in the chat?
Yes, sir.
All right, wonderful. That takes care of the calendar. Next is the red speed calendar. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, can we pull up the first one? I'm gonna step away for 1 minute. I'll be right back to start the red speed calendar.
Okay, so I missed this thing. What happened with me?
Okay, this is our first red speed case. This involves Stephanie Diane Morgan.
Here, Your Honor.
How are you doing, Ms. Morgan?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing fine. Let me explain to you very briefly the nature of the red speed. It is a kind of what I call a camera session of the court, where the camera takes photo pictures of a vehicle and of the tag and outlines what the infraction is. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So you are here because they are alleging that on May 13th, 2022 at 7:41 a.m., that your vehicle committed an infraction. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Have you had a chance to read through all the paperwork that was sent to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do we know who redacted her street address and all of that information on the citation?
I redacted it.
Okay. Mrs. Morgan, were you operating the vehicle on May 13th, 2022 at 7:41 a.m.?
Yes, sir. I was driving the vehicle.
And what is that in fact your vehicle?
Yes, sir. It sure is.
Is that your tag number, which is TCY 2366?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm everything that you're about to say to be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? If so, say I do.
I do.
All right, please understand this particular session of the court is what's called a red speed, which means any adjudication is a civil adjudication and not the type of adjudication that goes on your driving history. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, you want to tell me why you believe you should not be charged with this citation?
Well, Your Honor, I was on a DoorDash delivery that morning. I do remember the delivery because I was not familiar with that area. And when I turned onto Rock Cut Road, it was after the school speed limit sign. Because I'm a bus driver for Clayton County. Last thing I do is speed through school zone. And I was quite shocked when I came up to install the school zone sign in front of me, because I didn't see the other one. Because I turned, you know what I mean? I turn right onto the road after that school zone sign.
Okay.
I didn't even know there was a school over there. It was the first time I had really been in that area.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
Other than I'm sorry about this. No, Your Honor.
Well, again, because of the nature of this, it does not impact one's driving record for whatever that's worth, but
worth a lot.
yeah. So it looks like that there's a process that, so from what you told me, you did commit the violation. There is a violation assessment that needs to be paid. If you will read through this, it tells you where you need to pay it, and that should close this matter out. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor. It's how long do I have to pay the 75?
You need to take care of this within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, I can do that. 2 to 3 weeks, yes, Your Honor.
Yes. All right.
Uh-huh. works for
Do you have
you.
any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, well, thank you, and you're free to go. Can we go to the
Thank
next
you.
person? Mr. Nguyen? Anthony Lee Nguyen?
Yes, Your Honor.
How are you doing, Mr. Nguyen?
I'm well, sir. And yourself?
All right, is this a school zone violation as well?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, I'm looking at the time, and this would be outside the time of the school zone, so this
That
ticket is
is
going to be
correct.
dismissed. This ticket is going to be dismissed.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
All right, you all want to go to the next person?
I can disconnect, sir.
You certainly can. Thank you, Mr. Nguyen.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
All right. All right, the next person?
We have no one else for red speed.
Wonderful. Do we have anyone else on the 8 o'clock calendar that we need to tend to?
No, but I do have a question about someone that was who was supposed to resubmit a certificate.
Who is that?
That was Shayna Peterson. She's not on the docket. She paid the fine. She presented the certificate to our office a couple of weeks ago. And so she had received a reset and her fine was $175. So I wasn't sure if her charge was going to be reduced or not.
What was her charge, Ms. Yates?
It was improper use of the turn lane.
Okay, yes, if she completed she brought in proof of completion of a safe driving course?
Yes, sir, she did.
Yes, then let's make that a basic rules violation.
Okay, thank you.
Tommy?
All right, do we have anyone else?
Yes.
Did you have a trial today?
I believe I do, but I was told my case was closed. But I'm not sure if it was because I haven't received a call from anyone yet.
You came into our office earlier. You had a subpoena, correct?
Yes.
Okay, the clerk at the window advised that the fine was paid.
Okay, thank you.